Good evening, everyone. This is Chris on IMTN Worldwide Radio, and this is Around the ATL, the last day of January. 646-652-4479 is the number. We're going to try to push through tonight. This is our first radio-only show in a good 2 years, actually. It's kind of strange to be doing this format, actually, where I'm not concentrating on the stream as much as I am the radio part. So there's a little bit of adjustment for me. I'm gonna see if I can figure it out on the fly a little bit. It's been a while since I've done everything. But 646-652-4479 is the number. Now I did go ahead and open up a stream. I didn't plan on it. We've been having some technical difficulties with our transfer, I guess, between the radio version and our live stream, where if you're watching the live stream and someone actually calls in or a guest or whatnot, you can't hear them. Now, we hadn't had that problem for a while, or really never since I started the live stream, actually. And we had our guest, Marvin Freeman, former Atlanta Braves pitcher, a couple of months ago, and we didn't have any problems then. But the last couple of shows, we have. And so we tried to, test it out Saturday night. Didn't work then. So I'm waiting for the tech team for Blog Talk Radio to get back to me. So I decided just to go ahead and do a radio centric version of the show. And so hopefully we get a few callers in. Hopefully, if you're listening live, I posted on Twitter, posted a little bit on Facebook. So hopefully we get a few callers in. And if not, we have the live stream where I went on and opened it up. So if you do have a comment, you can go to the IMTN Worldwide Radio page if you don't want to call in, and you can just message your comment and or question. I am on there live right now. Again, that's IMTN Worldwide Radio on YouTube. And Around the ATL is live. But if you're listening, go ahead and call in 646-652-4479. If you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, appreciate that. Shout out to those who are listening or will listen on Twitter and or Facebook. And if I do post this show, I don't know if I'm gonna post it yet. We'll see how we go. Right now, if you're watching the live stream, you see I'm in a suit and tie still, coming from a meeting, and just kind of said, let me go ahead and get online. So we're here. So tonight, let's see. I'll go ahead and use the intro from the show that I wrote earlier. Right now, not sugarcoating anything. Nobody can tell me one way or no one can convince me right now that we're having a good season as an Atlanta Hawks team. We're not having a good season. Do I need to mention what the record is? I'll go ahead and do that real quick. The Atlanta Hawks' current record is 25-26. We're 11 games behind in the East. We're half a game from ninth, a game from, let's see, make sure I'm looking, a game and a half from 10th, and a game and a half from 11th, and 2 games from 12th place. And none of those are the play-in option. But the fact that we're fighting for a play-in again for the second straight year, that's not good. There's nothing positive from that. We've lost 2 in a row. Nothing positive from that. We are 500 in the conference. I guess that's okay, I guess. Well, we're 13-11 at home. The top teams in the East are 19-6, 21-5, 19-8, 15-8, 21-6, 17-9 in the East. Those are the top 6 teams in the East currently. We're supposed to be a top 6 team, and we're not. That's not good. But why? That's the question for the Hawks. Falcons have a lot of decisions to make. What will they do on defense in the draft, free agency? We have a new defensive coordinator, obviously. The Braves look like they pretty much are set with where they are, I guess. Are you good with what they did? Josef is no longer part of Atlanta United. Will the team ever get back to being competitive again? We did win the actual cup a couple of years ago, right? The Atlanta Dream obviously are going to have a new vibe this year, a lot of new players. Will it be for the best? And UGA is having a decent season in basketball. Will it continue? Can they actually, be a noted threat in the SEC this year, going into championship season, which is about a month and a half away, not too long ago, a long away, I should say. Man, I'm tired. These and more will be a few of the topics on Around the ATL. Obviously, again, I'm not used to doing the radio version of this. I've been doing the live stream for such a long time. Kind of out of practice, but we'll see if we can get some sound effects and everything in as I used to do all the time. So right now, I'm actually waiting for my co-host. We're going to see if he gets to call in. Right now, I know he's working. That's one of the reasons, folks. By the way, if you've never listened to Around the ATL or watched Around the ATL on the live stream, it's been difficult last 6 months to be on the air. My work schedule is very not conducive to doing regular radio shows like we used to. We used to do at least one show a week forever. In the last 6 months or so, really the last year, between health issues for me and then work, my co-host also as far as work goes, has been pretty difficult. That's why I started Around the ATL side notes. If you have ever visited IMTN Worldwide Radio on YouTube, you'll see Around the ATL side notes. So I'll go ahead and list some of those episodes that I did specifically in these particular cases. They're geared towards the Atlanta Hawks. So one episode I did was called "Let the Players Do Whatever They Want to Do." That was 3 weeks ago. I did one, "Is Clint Really the Difference?" And in that particular episode, I itemized 8 games in November and December that he started, but did we really see a difference to where people are kind of talking about he's a difference maker? And I keep saying one player isn't going to make all the difference in the world right now. And I showed that. Okay. Another episode was, "Do you want to win or almost win?" That was a pretty interesting episode if you go back and check that out. I did a visual version of an article that I wrote early December. I definitely would suggest go check that out on the IMTN Worldwide Radio YouTube channel. It's called Hawks Basketball, on Around the ATL side notes. That was about a month ago. Go check that out. I also did an episode in regards to Kevin Herter because everybody says that, well, the reason we're losing and not winning, although last year we weren't winning either, but we don't have Kevin. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, if we actually had Kevin performing at a level that you're talking about, then why did we lose 39 games last year? And so what I did was in that particular episode, I itemized 34 total games, which is almost half the season of games. And I brought out the first 20 games of 2021 and then 14 games that we lost by 14 points or less. And I showed the production of several players on the team. I showed shots, I showed production, and I showed the final score. Okay. Also, remember, this team this year has lost 12 games where we've had a 10-point lead or more. So, this is where I talked about a couple of months ago on the Around the ATL side notes: leadership, discipline, winning. That's important, right? At a certain point, those things kind of have to matter just a little bit, don't you think? So again, if you've never listened to Around the ATL, you've never watched at all, please go to Around the ATL on IMTN Worldwide Radio on YouTube and check out all of those episodes because I do a really good job of using visuals. If you're listening on the radio, I'm doing the air quotes right now, visuals on the stream in regards to not just getting a point across, but actually proving the point. Okay. Because that's why I think a lot of people these things are happening. These things are not made up. Okay. The box score is the box score. And if the same things are happening each game or the majority of our games, that means that's a pattern. And patterns can be fixed, especially and they need to be fixed. If they're bad, they need to be fixed. To say anything different is just, again, sugarcoating the issue. And there are issues, believe it or not. 646-652-4479 is the number. I have a caller. Let's go ahead and bring this caller in, see who this might be. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead and tell us where you're calling from and your name, please. What's going on, Mr. John? Representing Union City. How you been, man? Man, it's been tough. Jordan is I will say this, he is en route, possibly, but right now I know he's working, so we're gonna see if we get him in. Yeah, yeah. Starts from the top, John. And you mentioned one thing right at the beginning of your comment there was just saying stuff just for the sake of saying it without basing it on any kind of facts. And so, that's what I do. That's all I'm about. And that's why I put so much effort into either writing my own articles or going on the air and actually bringing these things out and showing, well, here's actually what's happened the last 2 seasons, and this can't continue and think that anything positive will happen. That's why I wrote the leadership, discipline, and winning show a couple of months ago to say you can teach discipline. You can teach these things like defense. I just pulled an article from SB Nation from a young man named, let's see, what is his name real quick? Michael Rogner on SB Nation talking, and I showed this is years ago, the Florida State Seminoles, and I was just talking about defending screens, hedging, making sure you're not creating a mismatch off of a switch, which we always do somehow because we never know where our man is. And I said it should be impossible for your back to be turned to your man. Why are you over helping? You see what I'm saying? Why are you doing what you are doing? Hunter gave up another wide open 3-point shot for no reason. There was no reason for him to do what he did on that particular play. None. It can't be qualified. And it's like, why aren't these things being brought out game after game after the game? And because if it was, we would see it on the court. We would see a difference on the court. And it's been 2 off seasons now where we can see no training of any kind. And it starts, like you said, from the top. If you're not capable of taking charge and saying this is how it has to be, and then actually having a plan and explaining the why, that's dangerous. Again, effort is a part of playing basketball, but you got to have a plan. You got to have a scheme. You got to have an identity. You have to have an ideology. You have to have something. You got to, what I always say, you have to have something to execute. We were talking about wrestling the other day, right? Oh, excuse me. The excellence of execution, right? He had something to execute because he had moves, right? Talking about Bret Hart. You can't just be out there with effort. You got to have a plan. You got to, before you get to that final finishing move, there's a whole lot of steps in between all of that, right? And we don't have no steps right now. How I know that? We keep losing games when we have leads. We keep losing games because we're not even playing all of our players anymore. Like, how does AJ a rising star, but he's getting 10 minutes at the Charlotte game? That's stupid. You know what I'm saying? So it's just these things continuing. We have 20. How many losses do we have, John? 26 now? 25, 26? 25 and 26. I just read that off at the beginning. We're 11 games back in the East. How are we going to have a 15-game win streak to get back in it? Okay. What signs do we have that we can do that right now? And that's the problem. And it's scary. Like you said, all the articles and everything, we don't know everything or whatever. All I'm looking at is the results on the court matter. We keep losing these games by 3, 4, 5 points or whatever, and we have 15-point lead in most of these games, or we have the capability of winning and we still don't. And I don't know. I don't know. And that's the worst part, is that we don't know. It's scary right now, man. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And one thing you mentioned, I'll refer to my article, December 6, 2022. We can't be a one-dimensional team and expect to win. Not when we have two guards like Trey and Murray. And on my take on that particular article was, since we do not have certain pieces, we need to work with what we got, and we're not doing that. We're not doing it to the best of our ability. They're not all being used and being put in the best position to succeed. And that's a problem, because we have the pieces to win. How do I know that? We've had over 20 games that we've played that we've had the lead, double digits, and we've lost 12 of them. That's how I know we're good enough to win. We're good enough to be fifth, fourth in the East right now. If we just split the 12 games that we've lost while having a lead of 10 points or more, and we've lost those games, we would have 32 wins right now and be fourth in the East. That's crazy talk right there. But that's facts, though. You see what I'm saying? And so it's a matter of, we have a lot of players, but why are we playing 7.5 man rotations all of a sudden? You see what I'm saying? Why are we not playing AJ to the hilt? He's one of the best shooters on our team, best shooter in the league as a rookie. How come JJ didn't play against the Portland Trail Blazers where we had an advantage? Listen, here's what we did against Portland. Portland, we had 50 points in the paint. We should have had 70. We had 21 second chance points. We should have had 35. Portland only had 3 second chance points, but we gave up 14 fast break points. We lost by 4 points, right? So where is the madness in? We actually had an advantage and we still lost the game. But again, I could go back into who had more touches than others, and I'll go into it real quick. Box score, whole game. You had Hunter, who went 3 for 14 from the field, 0 for 4 from three. Clint did not have a good game, was 4 for 11 from the field. Okay. All right. And then you had Bogey, he went 7 for 16. He was 4 for 10 from three. Now that's 40%. That's good, but it wasn't always at 40% that night. We all know this, right? But again, it's like you had a player that was shooting 60% from the floor, and he wasn't getting the ball a whole heck of a lot. And 60% is better than 20%. 60% is better than 40%, 36%. It just is. And AJ Griffin, of course, again, 3 for 4 from three. Why wasn't he in the game more? Why wasn't he in the game more? Why is he being held back? You see what I'm saying? So is this a matter of the usage is a bother with me? Why do we keep holding back talent that we have on the team? Is it just because you just are just haphazard about not being able to use all the talent and not wanting to? Again, why are we using the word trust at this point? Is it just a matter of trust, or is it just a matter of ability to put people in the best position to succeed? And that, again, I'm just looking at the losses at this point. We lost 39 games last year. We're pacing to lose more than that this year right now and not make the playoffs. And that's kind of messed up when we have Murray and Trey on the same team and we are at the bottom of the league passes per possession. How is that possible with two great guards on our team? Again, it's backwards what's going on. We're giving up 116 points a game. We score 116 points a game. How can you win like that? Why is there no direction on defense at all? Right? So I don't know, man. It's just, again, I feel like you said, Wrestler is just doing stuff. He just kind of lied to the fan base. He lied to the players, as far as I'm concerned. And again, I got season tickets this year on the premise that everything from last year would be fixed this year in this off season, and we're worse. And I'm like, how is that possible? How do you lay that out where you can have a good game against Milwaukee Bucks and then a day later get blown out on national TV against the Boston Celtics at home? You see what I'm saying? All these games we've lost at home and having the leads and then still lose. It's not cool at a certain point, man. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about that Houston game, huh? Yeah. Hold that thought real quick, John. 646-652-4479. I see a number, last four digits, 5758. Going to bring you on to the show in a little bit. Go ahead, John. Correct. You got it. You got it. That's the premise, exactly. And again, it's the principle of it all. That means none of the other how are the other coaches functioning at that point, right? And that's why I always use the analogy with myself in management. Everything is my fault if something goes bad in management. I don't care if I didn't do it myself. I'm responsible for everything that happens before and after. So I have to make sure that everybody is trained. You know what to do, you know where to go, you know what time. And if it's wrong, I got to either retrain you or I got to make a decision. To say I'm not responsible all of a sudden is crazy. And to not want to be responsible is crazy. Right. And that's what I've been saying for 5 years now. If it means benching Trey for a few minutes to show him he can't keep turning the ball over like that with crazy mistakes or shooting half court shots in the fourth quarter in crunch time, that's what you got to do. Or bench Hunter or bench John or bench Red Mamba when he used to be here. Bench Gallo. How you let Gallo shoot 0 for 10? You know what I'm saying? Just like you let Bogey shoot 0 for 10 a couple of months ago, right? So it's a matter of the progression of saying you're in charge. You got to be able to do that because the goal is to win the game, period. Let me bring this caller in real quick, John. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller. Where you calling from and your name, please. What's What's up, man? How you doing? The original. You know what I gotta do. You know what I gotta do since you're on, right? Hold on a second. It's been a while. I had to do it, man. I had to do it. Yeah, I had to do it. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Okay. Yeah. Charlotte and then Cleveland. Pretty much. Sure is. Well, uh, I was just going to say, and I'm about to bring in Jordan in a second, but one thing you said, well, two things you said, right? One thing before you came in, I have just mentioned that if we had just won half of the 12 games that we lost when we had double digit leads, we'd be in fourth place right now. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is, I will say this in regards to whether or not you bring Nate back after the Eastern Conference final appearance. and not bringing him back, I don't think there would have been so much we look. It would have just been we got to look at Nate from what his history was before coming here, and do we go ahead and get a coach that's more conducive to the team that we got plus Trey Young, rather than just giving it to him because he was the one who was the guy in the Eastern Conference Finals? Because before that, what had he done in Indiana? What had he done in Portland? What had he done in Seattle? It was a roll of the dice one way or the other, and yeah, it was, it was a good story. However, now we're getting bit, on the basis of what he actually did in his history. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was half and half, because I was like, okay, bring him back, okay, cool, but we don't have to bring him back. Let's go get a Golden State coach or somebody out there who's has the cachet and pedigree to say he's a conference finals winner, or he has an appearance here, or he's won multiple playoff series over and over again, rather than what we have right now. Because what we have right now, we're getting ran into the ground right now, and we're fighting for our lives to maybe get into the play-in and hopefully get into a 6 seed and avoid the play-in altogether. And that's desperate times. And it's January 31st. That's not cool. Let me go ahead and bring in Jordan real quick before any of y'all respond. Jordan, sir, how you doing, sir? Jordan, my bad. Now I'm tired, man. Uh-oh. It's family show now. Watch out. Live radio, folks. Live radio. No, sir. Yeah. Soon as he said that, Chauncey, I was like, "That's what it is." I said that on a couple of shows already. That is he really even focused right now? And if he's not, well, I he probably needs to fall on the sword and let someone else take the reins because we're falling fast because of it. Yeah, Utah. Oh well, yeah, the writing will be on the wall at that point. That'll be obvious. We won't say what it is. I think people can see what that is. But yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely not. Definitely not. Not as Go ahead. I don't know, John. I think it would depend on who it is because I think if you get somebody that has again, I use that word cachet a little bit loosely, but with the experience, whether or not as a player who has either won a championship or just something along those lines, it might not be exactly who he picked out or wanted per se or had a say in. But I think if you actually got somebody to where this person has won a championship. So no matter what, you kind of have to listen to him. And there is a point guard that has won a championship or has gotten to conference finals multiple times and won multiple. I think he would. I think there would be a little bit difference there rather than what we got right now, dynamic wise. I think I want to give him the benefit of the doubt on that. That was what I was about to ask. One. You know you're on around the ATL, Chauncey. Now, come on now. Yeah. All I'll just say this: Seattle, he went to the playoffs 2 of 5 years in Seattle. He went to the playoffs 3 of 6 years in Portland, and of course in Indy, he was swept out of the playoffs 3 or 4 years there. So again, just on the advancement in getting to the playoffs and then actually advancing in the playoffs, he doesn't have a history doing it. No. Don't mean he's locked in though. They're always hurt. A preferred criteria would be if either as a coach and or a player, he was a focal point on a championship team and or a whole bunch of conference finals and or advancing through the playoffs multiple times, not just once in a while, as a player and or as a coach. Nick Van Exel? No. Mm-mm. You still get a coach. You still get a brand new coach. Yeah. Mutual part ways. Oh yeah, that's right. Pay him off. We don't pass the ball. Go ahead, John. Yep, that's true. All right, so there it is. So here it is, John, and Chauncey, and here it goes. So if it's just happy juice and they're just hyped for a little bit, because remember we had two 7 game win streaks last year and we still lost 39 games, right? So if it's a matter of for that 5 game win streak for a change, we're doing everything that if Nate is telling them to do stuff. Why in the world would that change off a cliff? You see what I'm saying? And so, is it a matter of, for that moment in time, that little structure in time, they're just kind of just doing stuff, or if they all of a sudden stop doing what they're supposed to be doing, why is he allowing them to benefit from playing time if they're doing the exact opposite when we're losing games? Because we're not winning games. You see what I'm saying? We've lost 26 of them, and I have proof, right? So it's a matter of who does have who has it in hand. It's like if it is not Nate, and again, like okay, with John Collins, okay, yeah, he needs to be a little bit more forceful about calling for the ball sometimes, but it's a lots of times he's still getting looked off. It doesn't matter. Always looked off a lot last night. Well, here's a spam caller. Let me eliminate this person real quick. Um, so it's scary that we can't figure that out because that's the difference between us winning a championship and literally falling below Orlando at this point. You see what I'm saying? And also on the same thing on defense. How can we continue to overhelp, not block out, not get back on defense? Just the simple stuff. That's just the structure of basketball and defense. That's why I posted that article from the SB Nation guy, Michael Rodner, because I've been talking about that and playing basketball myself. There's techniques, there's things that you know on switch to make sure that you don't create a mismatch with a big or a small. There's ways to do it. You see what I'm saying? If we don't know how to do that, that's a problem. We don't even know how to play zone. That's a problem. We can't rotate. That's a problem because we keep giving up all these 3 pointers every game. How is that? We have teams shooting 45% from three, but they shoot 31% from the season. That's not cool anymore. You see what I'm saying? So, what is it the differentiation from being successful on offense one night and then be completely different team another? Like that Milwaukee game a couple of months ago, we played them in Milwaukee, beat them straight up, and then 2 nights later at home on ESPN with Jeezy there, we get blown out by the Boston Celtics. I was at that game too. 30 points. Where does that square up at? Who's responsible to make sure that the players are ready for each game, prepared, and there's adjustments with stuff that ain't working? Let's fix something. Let's make the shots easier. Let's do something. Because what we're doing is none of that. So is it just by accident we can win? Remember, we won those 5 games still giving up points in the paint, second chance points, and fast break points, but the effort was there enough to mask some of it, just like in 2020. Second half of 2020, we were doing the same stuff. We just blocked out a little bit more. We just rotated just a little bit better. We didn't overhelp as much. You know what I'm saying? The energy was there all the time, but it can't supersede actually knowing how to do it. And that's the problem. We don't know how to do basic stuff, and it hurts us against good coaches, which is most of the league now. And that's why we're not in the top 6 in the East. We should be, but we're not. And that's the differentiation right there, guys. You're not doing it though. Go ahead, Chauncey. Go ahead, Chauncey. Okay, so I'll talk on the basketball side. I'm gonna bring in another caller. It looks like whoever's at 6457. Give me a minute to answer this question. So when I do my Sunday night basketball videos, I talk about that. At a certain point, there has to be a fine line to be like, okay, it could be obvious that's what you're supposed to do, but if you're not actually training and practicing certain things to where it is natural and it's automatic, it's just like in football with repetitions. It's just like in base. It's just like in any sport, and just like a job, a secular job. At a certain point, you got to know how to activate a phone. You got to know how to do this and do that paperwork wise and get the contracts. Or if it's in a restaurant business, you're putting in the information for the person's order and things of that nature. There's certain things, and sometimes if you're not doing them, you know what you got to do? You got to be retrained on them, because if you're not doing those steps all the time, you see what I'm saying? I got to make a decision who's on the schedule or not. You see what I'm saying? So yes, it's definitely the players up to a point, but it's the coach who makes the whole thing go. And you're trying to win games. If they're not doing what they're supposed to do, basically, guess what? Somebody's minutes needs to adjust to get somebody in there who is going to do the basics to let the other person know, hey, this is what you should be doing. You see what I'm saying? But if you don't have nobody willing to actually tell that to that person and make that person accountable, because only the coach can make a person accountable. That's the only. There's no player that in NBA history who just walked onto the court. There's a starting lineup that's set up by the coach. There's no player in NBA history that's just coming out of the games. The coach is saying, "Hey, son, come on. It's time for you to come out the game." And or like Tex Winters told Phil Jackson in 1992, Game 6, Michael Jordan is hogging the ball. This is not our offense. We're down by 14 against the Portland Trailblazers. Mike got to sit, and Phil pulled him. At a certain point, only the coach can control the madness that's out there. And if the player is not getting the ball and it's sticking, and you go back out there and he's still sticking, Murray has to sit at that point. You can't let players shoot you out of games either. That's the coaching part of it. The players are responsible to play, but you have to have something to execute, and then you gotta have someone to take charge and say, "This ain't right, guys. We got to do this, or I'm gonna bench all of y'all." It has to happen at a certain point. It's still applicable, unfortunately, because other teams do it. Other coaches do it. Okay, so here's the deal. The answer, if that's the only way to learn the lesson, Chauncey, yes, that's what you got to do. But really, what you should have did in the first quarter, in the second quarter, and the third quarter, so in the fourth quarter ain't a problem. But if you got to do it in the fourth quarter too, bring in Aaron Holiday, doggone right. That's what you do. Sorry, that's what you do, because otherwise, how is he going to learn? But you got to do it though. Not Vaughn called timeout when Kyrie Irving, after he had called the play, and then Kyrie was basically going to do something else completely different. John Vaughn called timeout, said, "No, we ain't going to do this." The coach is in control. You might want to say he don't have enough power, but it's up to the coach to get fired on that. Then you don't want me to run this team? Get rid of me then. I'm gonna run this team as I see fit. Period. By the way, everybody who's listening on Around the ATL at 646 let me finish this out, Johnson, real quick. Um, it's anybody, not just Trey, because Trey is one of the people we're talking about. But if Murray is shooting you out the team, out the game, or Clint's missing free throws, or whatever it is, it's anybody can get it. Because that's what it comes down to. Well, you're right, and then that will go back to Trey to make a life choice at that point. That's where that comes in. Hey, y'all, let me bring this caller in. Let me bring this caller in real quick, y'all. 6457. Good evening, caller. Go ahead and tell us your name and where you're calling from, please. Hey, what's up, Nas? Long time no talk. Uh oh. Well, we don't pass the ball one, and we don't run, so that kind of goes hand in hand right there. So he played 10 minutes in that Charlotte game. It was a 3-point lead. In the right world, but that's not what our method has been, unfortunately. That's what we like to have happen, but we're trying to win the game though too. And he wasn't in the game. He only had 7 shots up to that point, so he wasn't being used. I had it told up. John Collins at the 11th mark, he hit those 2 free throws. Okay, at the 10:34 mark, he took and missed one of his 2 shots in that quarter. One of them was a three. They were up 95-86 at that point. In that particular game, it didn't matter anymore. That's the whole point. He wasn't getting the shot. He wasn't getting looked at all. But AJ had 4 shots in a row he had just hit. We had a 3-point lead, and you take him out for someone who wasn't getting the ball and not even in the offense anymore. We needed to keep AJ in there to finish that game off because we're trying to win the game. It doesn't matter who's on the floor at the time. We got to win the game. That's the point. We're trying to win games here. That's why I posted that example of Donovan, Coach Donovan pulling Zach. Hold on, let me finish this out. Zach had went 1 for 14 in 25 minutes. And then Donovan pulled him saying, I got to try to win this game. He ain't hitting on nothing. It doesn't matter who the player is. The coach's job is to win the game. My job as a manager is to make sure we have the greatest shift ever. We got to sell these songs. We got 3,000 fans coming in. There's Cam Newton right there. There's Evander Holyfield right there. We got to have a perfect night, guys. That's all on me. Whatever group of people that I can get to make that work, that's my responsibility at that point. That's it. That's all that matters, and that's what will make players be more quote unquote respect or whatever. Is that okay? This is working. What we're doing has to happen because this is what has to happen. But that's not what's happening out there. We're just doing stuff, and that ain't cool anymore. We're losing. Go ahead. At, here's the deal, though. We didn't score here. Hold on. At the 316 mark of that game, Bucks led 114 to 111. We didn't score again until Clint hit those two free throws at the 116 mark of the game. Then after Hunter missed that shot, we didn't score again until the 5 second mark of the game when Clint hit that tip in, and then the rest of the game. It was a big reason he was hitting shots. Nobody else hit a shot. Yeah, we got 4 players who can hit 38% from three or higher. It's not working. Go ahead, John. Go ahead, John. Hey guys, go ahead, John. Of course. Oh, okay, yeah. Yes, that's correct too. That's definitely correct. They should never have gotten to that point though. We had the lead. And we didn't move without the ball either. Here's how that happens, and this is me playing basketball. When you have 4 players standing outside the 3 point line, or at least three, and you know your point guard is at the top, and they trap, and they know that you're not going to move, that's a turnover waiting to happen. That's a turnover waiting to happen, and it happens all the time with us. Whether it be Murray or Trey, whoever's at that top, they know we're not going to move to the simple spot. They're not going to react to the defense. That's why I wrote in my article with Melvin Hunt when he did his offense, is that part of the offense is moving to the open space, setting screens, cutting to the basket. We don't do any of those things any other time. And the other teams know we won't do it. That's why they get the deflections that they get all the time. Oh man. His percentage was 36%. But if y'all, hey, guess what? If y'all watch the show, on Kevin Herter, I pulled 34 games last year specifically for this reason to show the first 20 games of the 2021 season and 14 games that we lost by 14 points or less and showed what Kevin actually did in those games. Go watch that show if y'all want to go check that out. That's basically what happened. Kobe's shooting 38% from three, y'all. Aaron Holiday shooting 40% from three. So I mean, I'm just saying. It would have been good to keep Kevin if we actually ran the offense like the Kings are running. That'd have been perfect, but we don't do that. He would just been standing in the same space too, and that's it. Having a ball. Hold on. Chauncey was good, Jordan. Like 40 years ago, something like that. Hey, guess what? Here's the best way to do it. The Miami series last year. Hold on a second. The Miami series last year. If we had gotten Kevin to do more than what he did in that Miami series, we might have beat Miami. But Kevin got us 12 points, 8 points, 13 points, 8 points, and 9 points in 5 games. That's what he gave us. It was bad. It was terrible. It was bad. It was bad. But we needed him to hit shots though, all the same. Wait a minute, John wasn't even supposed to be playing. So don't say John. John wasn't even supposed to be out there. Oh, okay. Wait a minute now. Thank you, Chauncey. I appreciate that, sir. Yeah, you get away with it this time. Nor not. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. That Houston game, man, that Houston game, man, it was going to stick on our craw for a long time because losing to a 3-win team, there's just no way to get around that one. We out rebounded Portland and still lost. I already know it. We actually didn't give up because this is what we usually do when we lose. We give up points in the paint, 50 or more. We give up second chance points and we give up fast break points. Last night, we didn't give up the points in the paint and the second chance points last night, but we did give up 14 fast break points. We lost by 4, but whatever. But we actually did pretty good and we still lost the game. So, what do you say, Chauncey? That's true too. I understand that. Every little bit counts. He's always made them before. Yeah. Yeah. That's where okay, when that happens to me, Chauncey, when that happens to me, that means I got to reposition and get post again, and they got to give me the ball right then when I get it again before they confront me. That's what I do, but hey, that's just me. Yeah. Well, that's the other reason why when you had Hunter go 3 for 14, and you had just those kind of shooting performances out there again, actually back to back, unfortunately. That's where AJ needs to get more than 9 shots in that game. He was 3 for 4 from three. So that's where